we are going to try to select this butterfly, or select actually the background around the butterfly, to either isolate the butterfly from the background or change the color of the background without affecting the butterfly. And this is a tricky image because, let me zoom in a little bit to show you. You know, there's some moments where the butterfly becomes a little bit blurry because, you know, like sort of depth of field, right? Kind of the nature of photography. And then we also have like not just a solid green color background, but a range of hues and values. So selecting that can be tricky. I'm going to probably use a combination of tools, and I just really kind of want to show you how you can use these different tools. And an image like this might take a little finessing. So I'm going to begin with the Magic Wand tool, and the Magic Wand tool will collect kind of neighboring pixels, or pixels all of the same color, hue, value. And you can set the tolerance here, and you can also change contiguous or non-contiguous. I'll show you the difference between that. So if I choose a tolerance that's kind of low, 10, let's say, and I click some pixels, it's going to select all the pixels that are this color. So it's here, and it's on the flower, and it's the dewdrops, right? If I click contiguous, so let me deselect, Command D, and I click, now it's only going to make a selection of the pixels that are neighboring each other, and not also the dew and the flower, right? So sometimes I like to use contiguous, and sometimes I don't. So I just wanted to show you that. The other thing to consider affecting, depending on the kind of selection you're wanting to make, is you might have to play with the tolerance a little bit. So for example, I might start with a tolerance of 90, but it could take away some of my butterflies. So let's see what happens. And I have it not on contiguous, so let's see. I'm going to click here. Oh, and so it selected this big area of the background, but it also selected a little bit of my butterfly inside. So that is not what I want. So deselect. Let's try something like 70 and see what happens there. Okay, still kind of like getting some of my butterflies. So I might need to do contiguous to make sure that it's just the contained area of pixels. And so with that, I was able to get a big bit of the background, but I need to add. So I can add to this selection in a lot of ways. I could continue to use the magic wand and add, holding the shift key. So when I hit the shift key, you see I get the little plus next to my magic wand icon. I can click any area that didn't get selected and try to add it, right? So we're getting closer to collecting this background here. I'm going to click and add this pixel. Collect and add this green leaf and see if that adds things. Pretty good. Maybe this part, this part, this part, this part. I'm getting there, just adding little sections at a time. I'm not sure what's going on here. This is a little confusing, but like which is selected and which is not selected. Oh, so I'm holding shift still and I'm adding things. I'm going to show you how we can use some other tools combined with this. I'm grabbing the flower. These inside shapes didn't get selected, so I'm going to come in here and add these inside shapes. Although I see a little bit of my butterfly is affected. I think that's okay because we're just going to change the color of the background. But if I were trying to isolate the butterfly, I might use a different method. I'd probably use a mask, but I'd start with like a selection like this and then mask the details. Work the mask for the details. We'll talk about that later. All right, so I'm getting close. Like this is all pretty solid, but these areas need to get added. So I could use some different things, right? So I could grab my lasso tool. It's going to give me the plus, right? And I can just grab around these pixels that I want to include, like use these pixels as well, affect these pixels as well, right? Don't forget about these guys over here. I could also use the quick selection tool. Yep. And I can, with my add, I can paint over these little pixel shapes that I want to add. Maybe that's good for the little stuff up here. Oops, but I took away my my legs, so I have to be careful of that. And then the kind of the final thing I could try is with any selection, you can, in your lasso tool, there's something called the selection brush tool. And what it does is it imitates a mask format. So it gives you this magenta. So everywhere that's magenta is included in your selection. And you could go in here, zoom in, and use the add and subtract brush that are in the toolbar. And again, your keyboard shortcuts for the brush size, brackets, left and right, you will want to utilize. And so I could, let's see, I want to add this little white area, right? And so this is, again, getting really finicky. I want to subtract this part of the butterfly that got roped in to the selection by accident, and bring back a little bit of that white area on the butterfly that I can kind of see through, that it belongs, right? And this whole piece here shouldn't be magenta. That's part of the butterfly. So this is like, you know, painting to get my selection back. But yeah, it's a combination of tools we can use to try to get a good selection. So let's see. I'm going to leave my little legs out of the selection because I'm just going to change the color for now so we can see how this can affect what we've selected. I'm going to go back to, I'm going to get out of this a selection brush tool by just kind of clicking over to my magic wand tool again, just to see the selection with the marching ants. And to ensure that, okay, so it's my background that is selected, and most of the butterfly is not in the selection. And now I'm going to make a change. I can add an adjustment layer. Let's see, we'll use hue and saturation again. Or let's try a photo filter. So a photo filter, and so whatever filter I use here is going to not affect the butterfly. It will affect the black legs of the butterfly, but those are black, so probably won't affect too much. So we could try out some different warming filters if we want to make it warm. If we wanted to make it cool, we could try a cooling filter, or even a particular color like sepia or deep blue. Let's see what that looks like. And then there's a density, so how much do you want to adjust that? And this is nice because the blue sort of offsets the orange, right, which just creates more contrast for that image. And you can always do a little check with the eyeball just to like toggle it on and off and see your effect in action.